Today, I want to talk to you about the importance of doing your own inner work, not just reading about someone else's inner work, which is very, very popular and called spirituality, but that's not being spiritual. Like I said before, spirituality means spiritual ability or the spirit, the ability of the spirit to speak through you, to work with you. So what I mean by it's important to do your own inner work. It's important to do your own inner work because it's in this doing your own inner work that you discover that you're not doing the work alone. That there is spirit or soul, that there are helping hands helping you along with the work that you're doing. Whatever that is that you want to know, it's going to come from the spirit, from the soul, from your inner self. When you are focused on a problem, for instance, or you're contemplating something, especially you might have let's say, big dream. What I mean by big dream, I mean archetypal dream, and you contemplating its symbols. And by archetypal dream, I mean something that is big, that it's, you might have a magical animal that talks to you and then transforms into a human, or perhaps you found a tree that is huge, flowering tree, feels magical. A dream which usually moves you. It might even awake you in the middle of the night because something big is happening in the dream, something magical is happening in the dream. I shared in my book Where We Dream the Single Dream, for instance, Goddess Isis, what I thought was Goddess Isis, coming to me at the edge of a river where I was bathing. That's the dream. Taking me by she said to me, come and I'll show you the future. She takes me by my hand, plunges into the water, into the river, and pulls me along behind her, underwater, until I couldn't breathe anymore. And then when I gasped for air because I couldn't breathe anymore, I found out that I could breathe like a fish. There's no problem, And I relaxed into it. She pulled me along and she pulled me into a huge, 3-4 story high vortex, spiral, equal parts white and black, through the middle, through the center, into the other side, And there, I woke up while I was being stuck in the center. Before I just popped over I popped over to the other side and I woke up. I was drenched in sweat. That's an archetypal dream. Jung talks about archetypal dreams all the time, and he's one of his more famous ones is where he saw a flowering tree in the middle of a fountain. It was an acacia tree. It was glowing. That was in Liverpool. The name of Liverpool being blood, so associated with the water of life. That's what I mean by archetypal dreams. And then what happens is you have to be interested, you have to be curious. You research your symbols. Let's say, you research a tree, the tree of life. Why is it that it's a flower? Why is it glowing? And then you will find out that the tree of life is archetypal. In other words, it repeats itself in all the cultures of humanity. It's not just that you find it in your own dreams, but you're going to find it in the dreams of all of humanity, whether it is ancient Greeks, ancient Romans, ancient Germans, the Russians, the Slavic cultures, the Asian cultures, the African cultures. In every culture, there is the holy tree, the tree of life. So that's what I mean by archetypal. There's a pattern to it that repeats all over humanity, which is really mythology. And then you start to investigate what these things mean. And then you find out that when you're investigating, there are like helping hands helping you along. You will find the right books to research. You will find the right material on the internet. You might even find the right people to talk to or to ask. one of the, I've shared this story with you just in the last video, but Anne Baring, when she was already in her work, doing her work in her early 30s, she had a dream to contact another woman, Jules Cashford, about rebuilding the temple of the soul, of the goddess. Now, these women didn't even know each other then. Excuse me, but through the Jungian community, they found each other, and they said that they collaborated together and wrote one of the best sellers on the topic of the goddess, the myth of the goddess. So there are, you have to do your own inner work, not just read about someone else's inner work. This is the popular bypassing, spiritual bypassing. People think that, if I read the best-selling guru's book, or if I read only Jung's books, or if I read Campbell's books only, that's my spiritual work. It's fine to read the book. Use the book as a research, but work together with the spirit, with the soul, on a project, on something that you want to know. And then you will realize that there are clues dropped here and there. There might be clues in your dreams. There might be clues in intuition that it's something is trying to communicate to you the answer that you're looking for. There's a wonderful story I haven't shared with you before. Peter Kingsley, I shared with you the book, one of his books. He's one of my favorite authors. In the Dark Places of Wisdom. Yeah, the ancient Greek Parmenides travels, he describes this in a poem, he travels inward and deeper inward to the most inward center. There he's met by the goddess, and the goddess informs him about what he needs to communicate to humanity. He's shown the mysteries. Anyway, this is the story goes with Peter Kingsley, is that he was sitting one day at a cafe, I think, or at a table somewhere outside, and a crow came along. And the crow kept on crowing and crowing and crowing to Peter Kingsley. And Peter Kingsley was already, working, doing his inner work and so on. And what he heard in his own mind is that something terrible is going to happen. Something terrible is going to happen soon. I think it was a day or two later, 9/11. So, when you're focused, when you are doing your own work, you're not just reading about somebody else's work or listening to the biggest gurus, the most popular gurus out there, and the most popular lectures and so on. It is fine if you're doing that, if you're already researching something of your own, if you're already involved in your own work, if you already have a dream journal and you're curious about the symbols in your dreams. What's the tree, what's the snake, what's this color, what's that color, why is this happening in me? Not only, I've spoken about this many times, even in my book, you're not supposed to interpret your dreams only what you think it means. Because you're going to go around in circles and circles and circles. You're not going to really get to know what the soul is trying to communicate to you. It has its own pictorial, symbolic language. And your task is to learn this language, to unravel it, so that you can understand when it's communicating to you, when the soul is communicating, especially in dreams. So so that was the story of Peter Kingsley, and I shared to you with the story of Anne Baring. And Jung has heaps of these stories, when he was breaking up with Freud. Freud was insisting on just interpreting what, everything was to Freud, everything was personal or sexual, related to mom and dad and sexual frustration. I think even Jung commented that obviously Freud didn't get a lot of sex in his life, so everything was about sex. But Jung realized that in his own dreams and in the dreams of his patients, there was something else. There was the collective unconscious, the mythological, the archetypal. He was already being guided along that there is something more. Pay attention in his writings, in his research. And then, of course, when he had the huge breakup with Freud, he went inward for many, many years. He left the scene. I think he only took care of his patients. I don't even know whether he actually saw them every day, but he withdrew from the world. He surrounded himself with his books, and that's when alchemy came along. So one thing led to another. He was interested. He was doing his own inner work already. And then when wisdom and guidance came along, he realized that he wasn't doing the work alone. And I realized the same thing. Many years ago, many years ago, I realized that I'm not doing this. There are helping hands along. I'm not doing all this by myself. There's a lot of people think that in solitude, you're going to be completely alone and isolated. It's not true. It's the society will tell you this, because in society, you're constantly bombarded by TV, by your family, by your work, by social media. Your attention is always, you always feel like you're wrapped up in this busyness, if you like, and so you feel you're not alone. And if you're going to cut yourself away from that, you're going to be completely alone. That's discounting the fact that there is a completely inner life, and that life is full of advice, full of spirit, full of things that are actually talking to you, but you're not hearing because you're busy. So when you do your own work, when you start to research, when you start to pay attention, when you start to follow the little breadcrumbs, the clues, you're going to go, oh my gosh, it's not as I thought it would be. I'm not alone. There's something invisible that is guiding me along. Some people get frightened by that. I know people that actually get frightened, but they get freaked out. Oh shit, something else. How did this happen? And they want to know. They either want to understand everything, or they, or they get so frightened that they don't want to have anything more to do with it. I knew actually more than one person that got so frightened that, I had to, I had to kind of encourage them to give me the dreams. That person had big dreams, excuse me. And I had to encourage that person to give me those dreams slowly and slowly and slowly, and show to that person that, there's nothing to be afraid of, that the dreams that she had were archetypal dreams, and it's not something which is just happened to her, but that it's things that the dreams and the theme, the mythology has been happening to humanity for thousands of years, and there's nothing to be afraid of. It's just, she's just been shown something that the soul wants her to understand. So when you go into solitude always people gonna freak out. Oh my God, I'm gonna be completely alone. I'm gonna be completely, I'm gonna feel terrible, depression and all this. At the beginning, if you're an extrovert, and if he needs to be in society all the time, because you need the validation of the busyness and things that what kind of keeps you together, yes, you might freak out a little. But if you give it time, and you're not afraid, that's important to notice. There can't be too much fear. If you're not afraid, things are going to happen. Things you can't explain. There'll be advice in your dreams. There'll be advice while you're working. There'll be books that will just come along magically that you need to read. You might not need to read the whole book. There might be just a passage or a chapter in the book that is important to you. I remember one time, I'm just having a quick look at the time. What have we got? Okay. So, one time I was already, this is late in my work. And still I got lost along the way and I've forgotten what to do. Not I forgot, but I got distracted. And I think, oh, nothing is flowing, nothing is happening. I'm lying down on the couch one day. And that space, I told you this, but between sleeping and waking, that's that threshold. That's the threshold between the two, the outside visible and the inner invisible dimension, the dimension of the spirit, the dreaming life. I was at that space. I can hear the birds chirping outside, but I can already hear what's going in inside of me. And a voice said, "Focus on your angel," which means intuition, and get involved. That was that. I picked up another symbol. I opened up the Wikipedia. Wikipedia is great because internet is great in this way because there are lots of links you can follow. You know, one thing leads to another. What's this associated with? What's this connected to? What's the tree of life connected to? Is it connect? Oh, it connects to the West, and the West connects to water. How does that connect? Intuition just brings you closer and closer and closer to the source of the information, where the information is coming from. So that's your inner work. The inner work is slowly following the clues along the way until you find the center, the most inward center. And then you will find that in all your solitude, when you thought you're going to be alone, you're with the whole world. Joseph Campbell said the same thing. You will find that although you think you're alone because you've just reached the center that you've reached within you is the center that exists within every single person on this planet. It's everywhere and nowhere. That is to say, it's not in one particular place because it's everywhere. It's you, me, person in Africa, person in Moscow, person in Beijing. Everyone, it's that center, the cosmic axis, the door between the two worlds. So doing your own work is spiritual work is very important because it's in doing the inner work that you actually become spiritual and you become enlightened. Not so much reading about it, someone else's, because someone else got to it in their own intuitive, unique way. And you have to do it in your own. You're going to get to the same place, but you're going to have to go on your own inner journey to do it. You can't be copied. That's why I say this so many times. Spirituality is not copy and paste. It just has to happen spontaneously. Yeah? You just have to start. Once you start, the road appears. Yeah? So once you start get interested, just one symbol, just one image from your dream. Some of you have had dreams, for instance, of a deer, a magical deer. Follow that. Where does the deer connect to in mythology? You might find a lot of deers in Celtic mythology. A deer is usually found grazing at the threshold between where the forest ends and the civilized sort of human life begins. So it's at the threshold between forest is your inner life, the outside the forest is your outer life. So deer is the image of the intuition, the soul that mediates between the two. Let me just check the time again. Oh, we're okay. Well, it's got a few minutes left, so not that okay, but a few minutes left. So that's the deer. Also, with the deer, it jumps spontaneously. One moment it's here, when you see it running into the forest, just over there. It's like your intuitive thoughts that are jumping from one association, connection to another, spontaneously, like a frog that's jumping on the leaves on the pond. Again, connecting this intuitive image, this symbol to this symbol to this symbol, until it reaches its own source, where the symbols are coming from. So that's the inner work. The inner work, your own true inner work, is following the breadcrumbs, following the intuitive connections all the way back to the soul, to the center. Yeah, they come from the soul, the images. When you start doing the inner work, the advice, the voices, the books, the people that you meet, the videos that you watch, the poetry that you read, the symbol that you work with, they come from the center, and so they speak back to it. You see? There's a two-way street, and you become the mediator between the two. That's the whole point. The whole point is once you discover this way of being a mediator between this world and the world of the spirit, that means you remain that way balanced. The outside and the inside are balanced. Your masculine half, your rational, and your feminine, the missing, the irrational, the spirit half. You mean, with one leg in this world, the other in the spiritual. So there's your masculine and feminine as one. Okay. So you got to do the work. You got to do the inner work yourself. So important. All right. So that's what I wanted to talk to you about today. Until I'm breathless. Until next time, I'll see you. Bye.